As far as cartoon drawings of rabbits go, it doesn't look too bad, but I certainly haven't done Officer Judy Hopps justice, and Anna's kind of giving me goat vibes. Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin, and welcome back for my week 24 plan with me. Before we get stuck into setting up, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. 1, sorry about the lighting for today. As you can see here with the current view from my study window, I lost my battle with the sunset today, so I'm relying on my desk lighting, and I haven't quite perfected that yet. As we get further into winter, this is probably going to become a common theme, but still, apologies. The second thing is an apology to any of you who left questions on my week 22 plan with me video for me to answer last week that I didn't actually answer. As you'll probably have noticed, I was a little bit out of it last week with a bunch of pressures, mainly from school, with the whole report writing stuff. So some of them slipped through. I will be answering those today, but if in future I miss your question and don't mention why, please do call me out on it. It's nothing malicious, I just miss things sometimes. Apologies again. Thirdly, a heads up that I'm going to be hosting another giveaway on Instagram on Saturday, so if you aren't already following me over there and wanted to, there's a link to my page in the description box below. I think that was all I needed to say here, but having a look at last week, as you'll remember from last week's plan with me, I was doubling up the first and second because I'd already drawn space for it on this weekly layout, but I also left space for it on my Dutch doors. Just to show you guys how I've been filling these Dutch doors in, since the first I've been filming a little snippet each day to show you how I'm going about using my planner. On each of the Dutch doors I'm working from the top down with my events and to-dos at the top, and then underneath this I rule out a line using the bullet end of a Tombow dual brush marker to separate this from my mid-year review prompts and the answers. I'm going to be putting up a video about what I'm doing for my mid-year review on Sunday, so make sure to check that out when it's up if it's something you'd be interested in. Along with the events, tasks and journaling prompts, I've also been putting in my daily doodles in the bottom space, along with some decorative stickers. Over the weekend I went and got a bunch of new sticker books in preparation for some videos that I'm going to be making starting next month. A little bit ago I put up a poll on my community tab asking if you guys would be interested in seeing me attempt weekly layout challenges, where I set up my weekly layouts in accordance with some restrictions. Some examples I gave were things like a washi only layout or a sticker only layout, thus the stickers, and some suggestions I've had are a spread drawn by my non-preferred hand, one with only colours I hate, and one where my partner does my layout for me. I'm pretty excited about this, and I'm putting together a prompt list so you guys can follow along if you wanted to. If you had any suggestions for challenges I could do as part of this, please do let me know in the comments. As far as this style of layout goes though, I've been really enjoying the fullness of it. I love a spread that's filled up, whether it be from task lists or journaling, and these have the best of both. Doing my little Avengers doodles has been fun as well, though I'm already dreading trying to do a few of them, considering how well poor Officer Judy Hopps turned out in May. As I've talked about before, previously when I've tried to do daily logging, I write up each day underneath the one before it, and only draw up the header for that day once I'm finished with the task list from the day prior. This was always an issue for me because I didn't have a space to schedule tasks that were going to fall on days that weren't too far away but weren't the day I was on. Thankfully so far, having these Dutch doors for each day has certainly helped. Which brings us to today. So as you can see, I have space laid out for the rest of the week, and then I'm starting next week here. So we don't have the same problem as last week where I couldn't count. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'll be filling out my journal up until this space. I'm just gonna draw a box here now so I know where to stop. Cool, so we have the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. To start off with, what I'm going to do is go in and lay down my washi tape. So as I talked about last week, I'm going to be continuing this circle-like pattern across the top, but I'm going to be changing the colour like I did last week. So blue here to red here to blue. Our first question this week comes from Muffin Machin, who asks, what's your favourite book and favourite movie? Now, anytime I'm asked this, for movie I always say Moulin Rouge. I don't know if that's actually my favourite movie, but it's kind of been my most common answer, so I'm gonna stick with it. I also really love Easy A. I think that Emma Stone is awesome, and that movie is just great. Another awesome one would have to be She's the Man. That, along with Mean Girls, was probably some of my most quoted movies when I was in high school, so they hold a very dear place in my heart. In terms of books, now before I answer this one, please don't judge me because I don't read very often. Favourite book would have to be Name of the Wind, but I'm also really into those old R.L. Stine Fear Street books. I used to have the full Goosebumps series, but as I got older, Goosebumps wasn't really cutting it for me, and Fear Street certainly filled a niche. I also really liked The Princess Diaries back when that was the kind of thing I read. Nowadays, the majority of what I read is non-fiction, so things like self-help books and things about getting your life together. Ooh, Harry Potter, that obviously needs to get a mention. Our second question comes from Daphne, who has rephrased her question from last week. Thank you so much, I was really confused. And she asks, since becoming a teacher, what's one thing you found you don't like? Whether it be colleagues, grading, a certain habit you find students have, etc. Thanks again for rephrasing that one for me. I didn't want to answer it incorrectly. So I think that the one thing, like if I had to pick one, like the biggest thing that I don't like about being a teacher is just the sheer amount of time that it takes up. I wouldn't necessarily say that I didn't know that it was going to take a lot of time, but I think I kind of underestimated the effect that that would have on me. I feel like I'm constantly busy, regardless of what time of the year it is. So then when it comes to things like report writing, where it's certainly a lot busier, the burnout is real. Which really sucks because, I want to be an effective teacher and I want to make sure that I'm doing right by my students. But when you're constantly exhausted, it's really challenging. As much as I don't like marking, it's really good feedback for me and it gives me the opportunity to give really good feedback to my students. So that one, at least there's kind of a silver lining to it. Whereas the amount of time I have to spend on teaching that isn't just in front of my students teaching kind of gets to me, if that makes sense. Ooh, ow! I paper cut myself. Ah. Dang it. Now to add in my black dividing lines, I'm using my brush tip pit artist pen and a ruler. As I go in and write down my headers using my S-size pit artist pen, our third question for today comes from Purani, who asks, what spreads in your bullet journal do you find work well? Well, the ones that most consistently work well would have to be my weekly spreads. The weekly spread is essentially the bread and butter of my planner, and without that, my life would be in shambles. Although I really love things like my habit trackers, and I like the aesthetic of my monthly logs and stuff like that, I find that those ones can be a little bit hit and miss. With my habit trackers especially, sometimes I just don't fill them in. And with the monthly logs, I don't really turn back to them often enough to say that those would be my most functional spreads. But my weeklies are, hands down, faux show, the ones that keep me on track. Of course, there are some weekly spreads that work better than others, but that kind of depends on what I have going on that week. Some weeks, a really super simple spread where I just write down all of my tasks in a running to-do list is going to work really well. And some weeks I need a little bit more structure than that because I have things that actually need to be done on specific days. I know that W's are only supposed to loosely look like upside down M's, but I find that that's the easiest way to draw them. Our next question comes from Donna C, who asks, have you ever done a video on how you would plan a vacation? On how to plan a vacation specifically, no I haven't, but I have done a video, at least I think I have done a video on my travel bullet journal. If I have, there's a link to that one in the cards above. But I think that doing a video on how to plan a vacation would be worth my time. So I'm going to put that one down on my to film list. Thank you for your suggestion. I know I've said it a lot of times, but I really do appreciate when you guys give me ideas for things that you want to see. I also find block letter R's really difficult to draw. He looks a little munted, but that's okay. While I'm jotting down some of the events that I know I have coming up next week, I'd like to throw today's first question back to you guys. What's your favorite book and movie? I'm always looking for new things to check out, especially movies, given the fact that my reading habit is not the best. So if you guys have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Thank you for watching. If you liked today's video, feel free to go check out another one. Until next time, bye!